LeBron James extends his contract with the Lakers, begging the question, why? The Chargers have relieved themselves of one massive headache, but they're still going to go for it too often on fourth down, so that'll cause another one anyway. And the guy who was once second on the Dodgers in home runs comes back from an injury and gets rewarded with an all-expenses-paid trip to Oklahoma City. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is August 18th, 2022. I'm in a tremendous mood. I'll go back home to see my wife tomorrow. But we're going to talk LA sports first. If you like the content we've been putting out about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment, because I am not perfect. There is but one God, and I am most definitely not him. So before we get to the news and notes around LA, let's take a quick look at the scoreboard. Tony Gonsolin, 15-1 after last night. Max Muncy also homered. Dodgers 2, Milwaukee 1. The Dodgers have a 17-game lead in the NL West. Their magic number is apparently down to 28. Now today, the Dodgers will play Milwaukee at 11 in the morning. Andrew Heaney is 1-0, and he will go against Corbin Burns, who is 8-5. Yesterday, I posted a special report when the Chargers and safety Derwin James extended the contract. Now, I did not post one when the Lakers extended LeBron James, and there's a reason for that. There's a number of reasons for it. And the primary one is, at this point, Derwin James is critical to the Chargers' Super Bowl window. Is LeBron James critical to the Lakers winning a title this year? I don't think so, at least not yet. Yes, there could be a move or two that could happen that would boost the Lakers. Yes, it's possible that LeBron and Anthony Davis put together two phenomenal injury-free seasons, but common sense right now tells us otherwise. Having said that, there's still a lot of reasons to talk about LeBron James making it official and extending with the Lakers. The deal basically at this point makes him the highest earner in NBA history. It's for 2 years, $97.1 million. There is an option that LeBron has if he picks it up for the third. This is a path for LeBron James to sort of accomplish one of the four goals, or maybe even two of the four goals that he had as his career heads for the twilight. He had mentioned the idea of finishing in Cleveland. No, it's not likely to happen now. He mentioned the idea of how he always wanted to finish in LA. Well, if he doesn't take up the third year option, no. Then, of course, there's the idea that he might be able to catch two more titles and tie Michael Jordan. That's not happening. That's not happening. But it does allow for the fourth. If he chooses to opt out after 2 years, it gives him the option to join the team that might draft his son, Bronny. Bronny is going to be eligible for the NBA draft in 2 years. Now, you might be saying to yourself, this guy was all about championships. Why would you stay with the Lakers when, as they're currently constructed, it's not likely to happen? And that's a fair question. But is LeBron James really all about championships? Or, follow me, is he about immortality? There's a difference. If you take a step back and look at it, we all talk about how Michael Jordan won those 6 rings and how that makes him the greatest of all time. But the pathway to NBA immortality is not the number of rings. If it were, Bill Russell would be the unquestioned greatest of all time. He has 11. But what James can do, what he can do for immortality in Los Angeles, is past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Right? He's only a little more than 1,000 away. He could literally do that this year as long as he doesn't get hurt. And by doing so in a Lakers uniform, the iconic purple and gold jersey, he would basically liken himself with a bevy of the sport's all-time greats. Kareem, Kobe, Shaquille, Mikan, Magic, Shaq, Jerry West. All of these Laker greats, the Lakers, their players are synonymous with immortality. And then if you're LeBron, when you retire, you can make this argument. I won 4 titles with 3 different teams. I rescued Cleveland as a sports town. I helped LA tie the Celtics. And oh, by the way, I'm number 1 in scoring in NBA history, and I did it wearing the purple and gold. How could you not sign with the Lakers when you have that? Because you're not going to get that level of money with the current title contenders. You would have to be paid pretty much the league minimum to go to Golden State or some of the other title contenders out there. Now, the LA Times' Bill Plaschke keeps arguing for a rebuild. Tear the whole thing down, start over. And to that I say, with what? Would you get anything close if you let LeBron James go? Would you get anything close to equal trade value for Anthony Davis? No, you wouldn't. Sure, you would have $70 million in salary cap space if you let LeBron James walk at the end of next year. But the last time LA had that much cap space, they spent it on Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov, who, by the way, the latter still has an imprint of Blake Griffin's groin on the side of his face. Look the video up on YouTube. Now, the Lakers still have a decision to make. They could theoretically trade Russell Westbrook now, possibly lose 2 draft picks in the prospects, and go for it now. We've all heard the rumors about this player, whether it's getting a couple from Indiana, getting Kyrie Irving, whatever. Or you could theoretically let Russell Westbrook walk at the end of the year, which could create as much as $34 million in cap space. But the problem with choosing the latter option, you're waiting. And you're hoping LeBron doesn't have a serious injury in that time. At some point, the human body will break down. So it is interesting for the Lakers, but I don't blame them at all for extending LeBron James, and I don't blame them for staying. And I don't think it's a ticket to mediocrity necessarily, as Bill Plaschke says. They simply have to make the right decisions if they can. By the way, speaking of the Lakers, at better times, Paul Gasol's jersey retirement ceremony is going to be March 7th in Memphis. Safety Derwin James became the NFL's highest paid safety yesterday. Now, he said, quote, "There was never a doubt," unquote, an extension would get done. If you go to the Chargers channel on the website, I break down why this deal has such an impact on the team, what it means for the team in the interim, what it means for the team in the near future. It's about 3 minutes long. Meanwhile, in other Chargers news, Brandon Staley says he expects linebacker Kenneth Murray to be back on the field Monday. He had ankle surgery in April. It's been bulky ever since. They're thinking he's about 100%. But with all of this good news for the Chargers, the question remains, could Brandon Staley still undermine this team? Remember, it was his 4th down gambles that cost this team a playoff spot last year, before the infusion of talent that they acquired. Now, the Chargers, when they hired Brandon Staley, he wanted a full-blown analytics department. Now, I'm not trying to tell you analytics doesn't work. What I am telling you is you're taking all these stats and you're creating these models. Are the conclusions, though, wrong? See, what the Chargers do is, I read this article on the Charger math, and what they do is they create probability models. The number of yards an offense would need to gain in certain situations before the Chargers say, you know what, we're going to go for it on fourth down. And that's the model that they go with. But having said that, they blew it a lot on fourth down. It wasn't just against the Raiders. Are the conclusions from this analytics department flawed? Doesn't mean don't do analytics. It just basically means your math might be giving you the wrong information. Because it cost him a playoff spot last year. Edwin Rios of the Dodgers, when he was injured back in June, he went on the 60-day injured list. He was the second highest home run total on the roster. And now he's back. But he's not in Milwaukee. Hell no. The Dodgers are so deep, they sent that poor guy back to AAA. Not even for rehab. That's his home. Poor guy. Just shows you how deep they are, man. Other Dodger notes, Craig Kimbrell remains the closer. I know it sucks. I know he struggled again in last night's win. But when the Dodgers have that much of a lead in the NL West, they can afford to be patient. And they will be patient. So try not to grind your teeth down to little bloody nubs by the end of October. Dave Roberts says relief pitcher Brizadar Graterol could be back with the big club this weekend. Also, that starting pitcher Ryan Pepio has at least one more turn in the Dodgers rotation before they try to figure out what to do with Dustin May coming back. The Rams' Matthew Stafford is feeling himself a little bit. He says he's on track to return in time for the season opener after that 60-day practice yesterday. Over at USC, offensive lineman Max Gibbs has officially entered the transfer portal. He was only a second-string lineman. He was having some sort of an issue during spring ball. He hasn't been practicing now, so basically he's taken off from Troy. The weird thing also about the Pac-12 is that there is now a report that the cost of USC and UCLA leaving to go to the Big Ten, the remaining schools in the Pac-12 will lose $12 million each every year. To which I say, so what? Why should we care? If you're UCLA and you were on a pace, you had a debt of over $100 million, are you going to continue to grow that debt just so Arizona State can get another 12 mil? Are you kidding me? That's like, oh, hey, James, I heard your credit cards are maxed out. Can you help me with the rent? Can you help pay my car note? I mean, what is going on here with the Pac-12? They keep trying to come up with this narrative about how USC and UCLA are supposed to help them. What are we talking about? Is Stanford saying, oh, without UCLA, they're going to have to go on welfare? Is Oregon State going to need Section 8 housing? Is Utah applying for food stamps? What are we talking about? It is not their responsibility to make sure other schools get paid, particularly when these other schools are helping them drive in debt. Use your heads, guys. Use your heads. I'd like to close with something obvious that you don't even want to know. The Sparks coach Fred Williams will not return next year. He's going to take a job. He'll be an assistant coach for Auburn. Sparks are now without a coach, without a general manager, without a center, with a ton of free agents, and frankly, considering the popularity in the WNBA, no fans either. Now, if you like this little broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something here for LA Sports. Thanks for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.